FBI agents seizing phones and an iPad from New York City Mayor Eric Adams. This is part of an investigation into his campaign fundraising. The New York Post reporting federal investigators are now zeroing in on texts suggesting he helped fast-track the opening of the Turkish government's new diplomatic headquarters in Manhattan back in 2021. Former federal prosecutor Katie Cherkasky is here to react. Katie, you look at this, it's a shocking, actually, turn of events for the FBI to go after the mayor of New York City. What do you make of this?
Well, certainly it was surprising to learn that the FBI had seized the electronic devices of Mayor Adams. Now, the fact that they issued a search warrant for Adams' devices does not mean that he is a suspect in the case, but it does mean that the police believe, that the FBI believes that there would be evidence, at least by a probable cause standard, of some crimes that are on the phone. So they took the phones and electronic devices, and typically what happens is that they make a copy of those devices electronically, and then apparently they have been returned. So we don't know the results of that yet, but it is certainly surprising and potentially concerning for the mayor.
You know, in any type of investigation, and of course you need a prosecutor on the other side, like yourself, saying this is something I want to pursue, there's prosecutorial discretion. There's some interest in going after someone. What's driving the interest in going after Eric Adams?
Well, there's not necessarily an interest in going after him personally at this point. What typically happens during these investigations is that the FBI talks to certain witnesses, they collect other evidence, and then that leads them down a path to want to pursue other pieces of evidence. So certainly here it looks like there was some discussion about messages or other communications that would likely be found on those electronic devices. We don't know for sure if that's the case, and that is what gives them the authority to apply for that warrant. They have to show that there's at least a low standard of probable cause that there could be evidence of a crime on those devices. Whether there is or not, or whether he's personally involved, is not determined yet, but it is a step towards that in the process, certainly.
A big step. And I think somebody at some high level has to look at this and go, you know, this is the mayor of New York City. We better have something very serious here that we're interested in. And you start to wonder what, for one, start to wonder what drove this interest in Eric Adams. Here's what he said, by the way, from his office. Said, as a former member of law enforcement, I expect all members of my staff to follow the law and fully cooperate with any sort of investigation, and I will continue to do exactly that. I have nothing to hide. Meanwhile, I want to ask you about this Netflix documentary. It's getting a lot of attention. It's about Maya Kowalski, and she's won a $220 million lawsuit against what's being described as a dysfunctional all-children's hospital that a jury said falsely imprisoned her and drove her mom to commit suicide. It's a horrible story, and one that now has this $220 million verdict on her side.
It's an incredible story, and it's very sad, obviously, but it's not it is unique in many ways, but there are so many children that are taken through these child protective service systems, and in this case through the help of a hospital. And what the jury said here was that the hospital had no right to accuse the parents of giving this child inappropriate medical treatment, and that it raised it to such a level that obviously they're facing these significant damages at this point. So this was a very unique case in many respects, but it does shine a light on the system that exists in many states where children are taken under discretionary standards because the hospitals and other authorities don't agree with the decisions of their parents for medical purposes.
It's really fascinating. I've seen the other side of this system, where how hard it is for a child to be removed from a parent who has done so obviously egregious things wrong. And then you see situations like this where choices in medical paths for your children, the kid is taken away from the parents so easily or so tragically in these kind of situations. Okay, Katie Cherkasky, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.